Well, hello, render friends. In this Greyscalegorilla podcast episode, we're catching up a little bit after the holiday break, talking about gifts, movies we watched, fun stuff. We have a bit of industry news to share with you guys, and we also talk about working during this time of the year. And what I mean by that is this time of year when everything gets a little gray, especially if you're living in the Midwest up here, and how to stay more motivated as a creative, how to really take these days where it gets dark at 4 o'clock and get the most out of them, stay productive, and stay creative. And before we get started today, I wanted to let you guys know that the 2-part series of Intro to Arnold is now officially inside of Greyscalegorilla Plus. In fact, it's exclusive to Plus. If you've been looking to add Arnold or have been using Arnold and want to finally catch up with more of what Arnold can do for you, definitely head on into Plus if you're a member. Start streaming it right away. And if you're not a member of Plus, now's a great time. We have so much more coming to Plus and have added so much over the last few months. Definitely go check it out at grayscalegorilla.com/plus. All right, let's head on into today's episode. Well, hello, friends. Welcome back to the Greyscalegorilla podcast. It has been too dang long. With me today is Michael Marr. How are you, big buddy?
I'm great and big, I guess. I'm big and great.
I don't know why I called you big buddy. I'm gonna see if that sticks.
Oh, what was that one country band? I'm big and rich. That's how I'm feeling.
You talking about Big Audio Dynamite? Chad Ashley, how are you?
I don't know any of these references.
Chad, how are you, sir?
I'm a little under the weather, but I'm holding. I'm keeping it together.
You just
holding it together.
Warm sweaters. It is definitely the Midwest gray, crappy days happening here. How's the Texas weather there, Michael?
It is beautiful, foggy. Like I went out this morning, grabbed my camera, went out and took a few photos, and it's so pleasant right now.
Jealous. Well, gosh, a lot has happened since our last podcast in December. Got the whole break. You got that whole weird part of the end of the year where I didn't even know what day it was, and you just kind of floating between work and events and family and all this stuff. And gosh, I mean, anybody catch up on shows, movies? What'd you guys do over the break?
I feel like I watched all of it. Like I burned through all the new shows everybody has been talking about. I finally caught up on a bunch of that. Went through Mandalorian, streamed The Witcher. What are the other big things you guys watched? Any new movies?
I'm always so behind.
Oh, man. I haven't gone to the movies in a really long time, but yeah, I'm the same. I watched a ton. I binged a bunch of stuff and went through a bunch of stuff.
There was a fun day where I don't know why my wife picked this movie, but she just showed up, was like, we're gonna watch oh gosh, not Jack Reacher. What's the other one called? I'm so bad with names.
Jack Ryan?
Yeah, Jack Ryan. We're gonna watch Jack Ryan. I'm like, isn't that not a movie you would watch? She's like, I've heard enough about it. We're gonna watch it. And so I go, cool. So we sit down. My favorite part about Jack Ryan going into it was the time. It was like an hour and 30 minutes. I'm like, yes, I'm all in. This is the kind of movie I love.
Oh, so you're in the Jack Ryan show or the movie, not the shows.
There's a show?
Oh, buddy.
Oh! I just totally Nick Campbelled you. It's John Wick.
Oh my God! I was like, what the hell is he talking about?
Okay, so we sit down and my wife says we're gonna watch John Wick. I'm like, that's cool, and we both love some Keanu. And then I see the hour and 30 minutes or whatever the first movie was, and I'm like, yeah, this is my kind of movie. I love short movies. So this movie fires up, and I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but for those of you who have watched it, know that the first 5 minutes of that movie is, I mean, everyone's crying, right? And so we get to the end of that first 5-10 minutes, and the whole room's misty. And we're both like, what are we getting into? What kind of movie is this? And then the roller coaster went on for the next hour and whatever minutes. And man, I just really enjoyed that movie. So much so that we kept watching them the next couple nights. So that was a blast. I was kind of.
I feel like I made the same mistake. So my wife and I had a movie night one night. So she picked one movie and I picked one, and she picked like a Nicholas Sparks rom-com, and it was fine, but you're feeling terrible at the end because love lives on whatever, and you feel bad. And then I'm like, all right, now we're gonna watch my movie, and it was John Wick, and then we're like 10 minutes in, we're both just like on the verge of tears, just for. I was like, this is just too much for one night. And then it was like the best movie ever.
There's the ultimate movie night. You watch like the first 15 minutes of Up, and then you watch the first 10 minutes of John Wick, and then you watch, I don't know, like Big Bird singing at Jim Henson's funeral, and you just load them all up. Like you just really get a good cry going. I don't know. I think that's like a playlist we should start getting together.
So what'd you think of John Wick? You a big fan now?
I really enjoyed it. I thought I love a movie that just kind of makes you assume. I think it treated me the way I like a movie to treat me, which is it just goes. It's assuming you're caught up. It's assuming you understand why everybody's buying crap with gold coins. It assumes you know all this stuff. And I'm like, I love that. I love that they didn't stop to do some backstory about anything. There was zero backstory. It was just go. I love those kind of movies. I don't know if he's a character from a comic book. Should I know why they're paying in gold coin? I didn't care. Like, I was just like, I'm all in. I'm bought into this world. I'm going to keep watching this. And it actually got us interested in the Marvel movies, which between my wife and I, we've seen like 2 or 3 of the 30 different Marvel series movies. And we're like, maybe let's give them a chance, because this John Wick thing was like, maybe they're written better now, because like we saw a little bit of like superhero in this John Wick thing. So we started the Marvel stuff. And it started off good. We actually looked it up online of like what we should watch in order, like rather than just watch them as they came out. If we were to watch the whole Marvel series, where should we start? And they said start with Captain America. So we watched that. I thought that was pretty good. And so we watched Iron Man 1. Great movie. And then we watched Iron Man 2.
Oh.
and then we stopped. Then we stopped. Because I knew it was coming. Avengers, I've seen Avengers. That was so bad. And I've seen so many bad ones. I'm like, look, if they can't keep me with the 3, I'm not doing 30. You're not gonna pull me through. You gotta John Wick me here a little bit. It's just not for me. That's all. It's fine. I'm glad people enjoy it. I got to Iron Man 2 and I saw the future. And I didn't want to go through 30 more movies. Anyway, that's I think a short thing. Oh, I'll say this too. We also started watching a lot more of the MasterClass videos, which
oh, nice. Do you watch any of the new ones?
It's been so long since I've like gotten their emails and everything. Everything's kind of new to me, other than the ones I've watched 2 years ago. So we started watching. We just kept kind of skipping around. We watched the Penn and Teller one a little bit last night. That was fun. But yeah.
I've been binging the Ken Burns one. I'm just like a documentary fanatic, and I've always loved Ken Burns. And I've had all these ideas just like sitting on the shelves of old projects, and then you're watching Ken Burns and he's showing you how he takes notes on projects and stuff, and I'm like, he's giving me the itch back. Like it's starting. Like I'm feeling like I want to make another one.
Well, I got one on my list too. I'll share with you guys because I heard so many good things about it. If you like documentaries, it's one called General Magic the Movie. That's the website anyway, so it might be just called General Magic. But it's about this company, from what I understand, that basically started building the iPhone way before the iPhone, and were just too early. Like they just put all this energy into figuring out touchscreens, figuring out all this stuff, and they just couldn't make it work. So I don't know. I don't actually know the full story. I might be getting some details wrong, but I've heard enough about this documentary now from many different podcasts, from many different people, that I'm going to give it a go. So that's next on my list of documentaries.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What about you, Chad?
Yeah, we watched a ton of stuff. I'm trying to think of anything that like stood out. I can't remember when we talked last, but I highly recommend on Disney Plus the Imagineering documentary show.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, those are awesome.
That was really, really good. Let's see what else. Yeah, we caught up on so many different shows. The new season of You, which was really good.
Did you ever get into Mandalorian?
Yeah, I watched it. I thought it was okay. It was basically, it had me and then it lost me and then it had me again, and that's kind of how the season went for me.
I think that was kind of how most people felt. It kind of got weird in the middle.
Yeah, I think somebody sort of summed it up for me. Is like it had this really great first 2 episode sort of like storyline, and then it went right into Xena world. Where it was like the corniest, contrived, just felt so, I don't know, just felt so lame. And then they sort of pulled it around at the end of the season to kind of make me want to watch it again.
I really enjoyed it. I think there was probably one episode that was probably definitely the weakest for me, which was in the middle. But
I bet it's the same one that lost me.
Might be. But I most of the time, I really enjoyed it because I've always enjoyed those old, like, Western type shows, you know, new town, new problem to solve. I thought they approached it really well. But have you guys seen any of like the behind the scenes stuff they've been sharing?
Yeah, that's killer stuff.
Like I remember we were at Siggraph and we were talking to the team at Unreal, and they were telling us about like their video LED boards that, you know, they'd been building for essentially to replace green screen. So instead of going into a green screen, you're in front of these like live 3D environments. And they had a demo version of that at Siggraph, and it was really cool to check out. There's a video, we'll link to it. But then they dropped the behind the scenes of the actual show, and you're just seeing these massive screens, and you're like, this is so cool.
Yeah, that article blew me away. I mean, it's so clearly the future of so much storytelling and so many problems that green screen and little, you know, fake people in ping pong ball suits, like, that's just not a sustainable way to create good movies. Like, right. There has to be stuff coming around, and I think that like reading that article is like really seeing a glimpse into that future, and it was really exciting. That was really cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm just like a huge Jon Favreau fanatic, so it's like between that and then reading up on the behind the scenes of like Lion King, how they were creating these whole like digital sets, and then they'd go in with like their iPads or whatever, and in real time set up cameras and all that stuff. You're just like, oh, so this is the future. We are in the future now.
I mean, even the like iPhone version where you can, you know, stick an iPad to the table, or like a Mac Pro to your table to kind of see how big it is. Like, that tech is so much further along than I assume until I play with it, that we're like, yeah, we're just going to be able to film with these characters here. Or I don't know. There's just so much of this that's right around the corner, and it's going to be some exciting behind the scenes, which to me, as you could tell by my mostly non-love of movies, is way more exciting than actual movies. Like, I will watch behind the scenes of almost anything. You give me a good documentary on how it's made, and then I'll watch it, and then maybe I'll go watch the movie. It is, like, to me, so much more entertaining to go watch, you know, all these artists, all these people, all these amazing, talented, creative people working together to make something. That story to me is so much more fun than the final product most of the time. Right.
That was another career path I had always like imagined myself doing. It was doing DVD behind the scenes extras. I was like, this is the coolest thing. And then, you know, they stopped making DVDs and you're like, well, I guess they're not really going to do that anymore.
Oh, yeah, that is something that I thought I would watch for the rest of my life, which was I would find movies I liked, buy the DVD, and they start coming out with those like super director versions, and then they would all have like 2 or 3 audio tracks
Oh yeah.
that you could listen to. And I used to do work with these. I would put on a movie that I really loved, and then I would just listen to the director tracks, or they would have one where the actors were in a room talking about it. And it was kind of almost like pre-podcasts and a lot of stuff that's happening now where you could just listen to all this stuff. But it was so interesting to me. And I feel like, is that still something that's happening? Like, are people putting out podcasts where they say like, hit play now on Netflix and we're going to talk over the show?
Well, I mean, there's some stuff like the RiffTrax, which is from like the Mystery Science Theater guys, where they do like comedy riffs. And then some, like, if you have to get like the super special Blu-ray editions now to get that kind of stuff, it's kind of like I feel like it's a lost art at this point.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. I totally forgot about that.
It's been a while. What'd you guys, any good gifts from the holidays this year? And I haven't really talked to you guys much since. Just so curious to what everybody's been up to.
I got a couple of things.
Would you get anything good?
I got a pretty sick kettle for making pour over coffees.
Does it heat it up?
Yeah, it's a fellow, like it's got, I don't know what it's called. It's got like the electronic bottom to it. So like you just set it on there and just like it heats it up really fast, which is great. And it gives you a really nice even pour, which is great. So I was nerding out on that. And then Nick got me a couple of really nice books about one of my favorite designers, Dieter Rams. And I was checking those out and inspired by those.
He's like the guy from Braun, right?
Yep. Yeah, he's a kind of a prolific designer that worked at Braun for, long time, from like maybe the 60s all the way through the 80s, maybe even longer than that. But yeah, I mean, he influenced a lot of really amazing modern industrial design. So if you look at everything that Apple's done over the past 20 years, a lot of it kind of came from sensibilities developed by Dieter and his team at Braun.
Well, now it's all coming together. You got like your new coffee pot and then Dieter Rams, and now I'm just like, oh, so that's why you used a Braun coffee model maker for the like Kit Pro renders.
Oh, that just clicked for you?
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah.
So it's all coming together.
Yeah, I guess I make that connection, but I guess if you don't really know, then that would be like not a connection you'd immediately make. But yeah, if you've seen the coffee maker renders around some of our lighting plugins and materials and stuff, you've seen that weird coffee maker. Well, that's not the coffee maker that he designed, but it's one that was part of Braun at the time he was there. It sort of like speaks to his aesthetic. So if you've seen that and you've wondered why we used it, it's because I'm a fan of that style of industrial design.
That's good. I'm going through my gifts in my head. Michael, what'd you get?
Oh man, if I list my best gifts, it's just gonna show my age.
Like some sweet slippers.
I got this sweet heated back massager, guys. I laugh all you want. I've used it like every single night since I've got it. It's pretty awesome. And then I got some really nice cooking sheets, like kitchen industrial cooking sheets that I've been putting to good use lately. So, and then we got a big fire pit for the backyard, which has like a kind of like this grill attachment on top. So we've been outside kind of like smoking and grilling on a big fire pit.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been fun.
That's good. Well, for me, it's getting into birthday territory now. So I got some great stuff for my for the holidays, but I was just surprised to go on a little trip with some friends. So that's kind of the new thing in my world, is getting out and seeing the mountains and hanging out with some friends.
Exciting. Where are you going?
I think Denver. The details are still a little secretive, but I gotta like pack my bag and don't forget my ski boots. So yeah, it's getting exciting. That's the big new thing for me. A big old guy birthday. So that's good. That's good. It's all happening. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like other holiday gifts that I got. But see, it's all coming together for me because I didn't know that Braun coffee pot was Braun. And then now you also have the color palettes that you put out on Instagram. So, I mean, I guess that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I was just, those books are great, and we'll throw a link down in the show notes. But yeah, just kind of like looking at all the products that they made over those years, and just the colors that they were using in the 70s and 80s were just so freaking good. I just love them. So I was like really inspired over the break to just like take those colors and build some palettes. And if you're not familiar with the palettes that we have for Modern Surface Material Collection, we sort of use the built-in color palette tools in Cinema 4D, and we use them quite a bit in Modern Surface. So making these like sort of Dieter Rams inspired palettes was really pretty fun to make, and I think a lot of people that already are used to using those palettes for Modern Surface are enjoying them over in Plus right now.
That's awesome. Well, no, you've been super Plus busy lately, because towards the end of December, we also dropped your part 2 of the intro to Arnold.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there's so much stuff going through there now that it's hard to remember what we're doing. So much stuff. But yeah, that stuff is great, and I think people are really enjoying it. It's awesome, man. We have like a ton of Arnold stuff in there now. So if you've been looking for that, go check it out.
Now, wasn't the like part 1 of the Arnold training, wasn't that something that you had personally watched?
Yeah, the mograph Plus team. I hope I'm getting that name right. I have a cold, so if I'm screwing up any names, I'm just gonna blame it all on this cold. But yeah, that was a course that I took a while back, and it is a fantastic Arnold course where you just really learn the guts of everything that's in there. And so when we got that in there, we wanted to also bring up some new stuff that's happened since that came out, and there's quite a bit of new stuff. And that's where I've been sort of like peppering in some of these new features and videos about things that I find interesting in the newer versions of Arnold. So it's really a complete package for Arnold now.
Super cool.
Yeah, that's exciting, and all the new Plus stuff. I know we haven't talked about it in a month, but it's been really cool to see all the new stuff popping into Plus. And we even got a shout out from School of Motion, which was really cool. They had an awesome end of the year podcast. If you haven't checked that podcast out, by the way, it's an epic one. I think it's over like 3 hours, but they really kind of talk through the year and a lot of what's been happening in our industry, which a lot has been happening. And we were excited to hear them talk about Greyscalegorilla Plus, and had some nice things to say, some really nice things to say. So I appreciate that, guys. And a shout out to School of Motion and their podcast and their new website.
That's right. I think that dropped today.
Dude, that thing looks killer.
It's so awesome. Like it's so well done. Obviously, everything they touch, beautiful.
Yeah, they've been on fire, and go check it out. Beautiful stuff as always. And I don't want to tease it unless it's actually happening. I know we have an interview with Joey here coming up.
We do. Actually, we'll probably go ahead and drop that next week now that we're talking about it.
Awesome. Well, there you go. See, stay tuned on the Greyscalegorilla podcast for an interview with Joey from School of Motion. And at the same time, go bookmark that big end of the year one that they did. Really great episode. And just kind of, it's things happen so quickly in our industry, and there's new tech, and there's new training, and there's new everything happening all the time. And then it's not really until you listen to an episode like that and really only talk about what happened this year, and it's hours and hours and hours, where you're like, okay, that was a crazy year for 3D, for Cinema 4D, for everything that's happening at Maxon, everything that's happening, even just what we've been up to in the last year. It's just like 3D's really going through this revolution right now. It's really, really cool to kind of hear people talk through that. So definitely check it out. Any other industry news? I know we talked about Arnold coming out. We got the School of Motion sites looking banging. Any other industry news? Chad, what have you been seeing?
It's that end of the year and then beginning of the new year sort of lull. There's not a ton going on right now.
I think it's all pre-NAB hype at this point.
Yeah.
Like whatever he's going to be talking about in April.
Yeah, it definitely feels like I think things are quiet because everybody's getting back to work and digging in. And that's typically this time of year when the holidays sort of wind down and all the jobs actually need to start getting worked on. Everybody starts to get back into it. Yeah, I mean, personally, I've just been trying to rock all these new things that we've got going, all our new initiatives, and going to try to go to a few events in the coming months. Of course, NAB coming up sooner than you think, which will be great.
Mm-hmm. They changed it this year. Did you see that?
No.
They moved the start date. So like normally it has started, was it like Sunday through Thursday? They bumped it back. So it actually starts on Saturday this year. So it'll be, let me see, double check the dates. Saturday, April 18th through Wednesday, April 22nd. NAB Las Vegas. Yeah, it threw a wrench and stuff because we were teaming up with School of Motion and others in the past to do the big mograph meetup. And we historically like to do it before all the show floors open and everything so people could come in before the chaos. But now it looks like we're just going to be part of the chaos. So mograph meetup 2020. Stay tuned. We'll have some more info about that soon.
Yeah, you're right. That'll be here before we know it.
Yep.
Get NAB on your calendar at least. If you have been in the past, definitely get that on there. And if you've always wanted to go, it's really a great event. And there's always stuff before and after and at night. So keep an ear open for that. I know. We usually put up a blog post. I know School of Motion puts up one usually just about all the events and all the crazy stuff you could do at NAB. So we're definitely excited for that. And a lot of behind the scenes stuff is happening for Plus right now that we can't really talk about right now. But I'm very excited to kind of get to NAB and talk more about that stuff as well. So I hate doing the behind the scenes teaser stuff, but we had our big company meeting and we all know what's happening with Plus, and I can't wait to be able to tell you guys more about it. But everyone inside so far is really enjoyed it, and definitely go check it out especially if Arnold is in your future or in your near future. Definitely go check out the new Arnold stuff we have as well. It's very exciting. Well, let's see here. I know this is kind of a catch-up episode.
I'm more of a mustard guy.
Oh, God.
All right, well, that's it.
Yeah, I think I got to go, guys.
That's it, folks. We did it. We bringing the soundboard back? What's going on? Man, that was cheesy. I love it. I think I'll when it comes to NAB and all this stuff that's happening. Well, let me say this actually. You reminded me of how the year goes through, and I want to know your guys' thoughts. There's very specific parts of the year that have different feelings, and we're all creative people here. We all have feelings. And what is that? What is that like January through April feeling? Like you kind of touched on it, Chad, where it's like everyone's getting back to work. You're kind of catching up from the holidays. You got that new year energy, new year, new you energy. And then spring comes and the whole energy of the year flips. And I think it's something that I hope like everybody kind of feels and thinks about, but it's one of those things that might not be discussed. But what is that feeling for you of like January through March, April-ish, pre-NAB?
Oh man, I hate this time of year. I hate it.
Really?
I really do, man. These are the dog days of winter when you live in the Midwest, where
That's true.
you're like, the anticipation up to the holiday is great because it's like, oh, Christmas and New Year's and family and gifts and just all this fun stuff. And then that goes away. and you're like, well, at least I still have the end of the football season. And then that goes away. And then you're like, what am I living here for? Why do I live here? This is so dumb. Like, I should not be, nobody should live like this. And then spring, you get your first taste of like a 50 or 60 degree day in like April, if you're lucky. And you're like, oh, okay, so this is not bad. I can deal with this. And then it sort of returns to normal. But yeah, for me, like this time of year, it gets like super like, why did I choose to live here? So I usually just like focus in on work and don't leave the house.
See that? Yeah, that bit right there. It's very work centric. It's very like, let me just focus on this project and maybe the weather will get better kind of thing. It's like staying at home a little bit more, like turning on more lights. Like, yeah. Okay. Well, Mike, what's do you go through the same thing in Texas, or are you guys like?
It's pretty similar, but we don't have like the seasonal depression as nearly as bad as the Northerners do. Like, we can still see the sun, and it's not bitter cold here. The hardest time weather-wise for us is always the summers, but you just run from your house into your car and start the AC and you'll survive. But I kind of find now, especially that I've worked with more northern companies for the past 5 years, I've noticed so much of like this time of the year is the grind months, because it's literally like between you guys and Chicago and Detroit and past coworkers in Montreal and New York. It's just like snowy seasons. You just get to your office as fast as you can, just grind. You don't want to leave the office because you don't want to put on your boots and all that stuff. So everybody just grinds real hard. And then I guess if you just kind of look at our release schedule for the past couple years, it's like Greyscalegorilla goes quiet for like 3 months, 4 months. And then it's like, bam, Modern Surface, bam, Greyscalegorilla Plus, bam, new HDRI pack. It's like, oh yeah, that's all the stuff we made those first few months. So I feel like it's going to be pretty similar this year as well.
Yeah, that is definitely where we are. It is in the execution right now and getting all this stuff ready to go. And then, yeah, you're right. Then we'll have it for launch by the spring. It really is that grind. And it really is that, like, I've always attributed that to the Midwest, but you're right. Like, I think now that we're working in more of a global world and distributed workforce, the way that we all kind of work in different places. We all kind of have that same feeling of a grind, even if you're in a place where the weather cooperates, So it's kind of like bleeds into the rest of the culture. But yeah, that's how I see it. It's always like it gets too dang dark, especially on that side of the time zone. Chicago is like at the beginning of the time zone, which means it gets dark at like what, 3:30 at the worst.
That's the worst time. Like, you'll be sitting there watching TV at 5:00 or 4:30, and you're like, what, is it like 10 o'clock at night right now? And then you realize that it's like 5:30, 6 o'clock, and you're like, wow, what? This is like, it's ridiculous. There's like no daylight.
Yeah, the amount of times I'm like, I think I'm ready for bed.
Yeah.
And it's 6. Or you just get in that grind of like, it's all dark anyway, so time disappears. And then it's either 7 o'clock and I'm going to bed, or it's like 1 a.m. It doesn't, but your brain knows no different.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the interesting part for these kind of talks is like this thing where we all are responsible for our time. And I know a lot of our listeners are freelancers working from home, working from a small office, just like we all do. And I think this stuff is interesting as we all kind of figure out how we work. We actually talked about this at our meeting. We're a 100% distributed team. We all work either from home or from a small office nearby. But we talked about, how we get our work done and how we best get our work done and how we, what times of days are we, getting our work done, and what time of days are the best to communicate with us, knowing that, right? So like for me, for example, I love getting bigger projects done, really kind of creative, complex projects done either really early in the morning or really late at night. And the day is when things get busy. Like then I'm writing my emails or recording this podcast or like doing all the day-to-day stuff. And then for me, I love that quiet time. Maybe I just can't sleep. I got to wake up and do something. Like that's the time where I'm like, okay, the rest of the world's asleep. I'm going to get my work done. And I think that's important for all of us, not only on the team, to kind of know that about ourselves, but also kind of, tell everyone else on the team how that works so that we could be more understanding when it comes to communicating with each other. So I guess to me, it's for the listeners out there, it's a way to kind of audit that and think about that. I think the more that you know how you work, the easier it is to kind of schedule your day and maybe even take it a little easy on yourself too. If you feel like you're not getting enough stuff done, like maybe you're just not showing up early enough or late enough, But I don't know. Does that ring true for you guys?
Oh yeah. And I also imagine there's quite a few people listening that are in those grind months right now where they're already locked away in their home offices or in the studio, and they're starting to feel the grind settle in. But it really just comes down to how you manage your time and making sure you get all those little tasks done because they are part of the bigger picture. So,
all right. Well, look, you could even tell just the energy on the podcast. We're in the middle of.
Well, I'm sick, guys. I'm sick. So
you got Chad. You're under a gray cloud with your sickness, but also you're in almost in Wisconsin over there where you live. So you might as well be permanently in the gray zone.
Yep.
Yeah,
send me a lamp if you're listening.
I know.
Help me.
You need some. Can someone send Chad some vitamin D, please? Just like
sad lamps.
I gotta say, I got one of these sad lamps. Mine's called it's literally called a Happy Light. From the Varela. It's a bright. I guess it's like an all spectrum light. I have no idea if this is some like made up goop thing or if this is real science. I do not know, but I kind of don't care. It works for me. Turn on my Happy Light and you get some sunlight around here or some fake sunlight in your eyes. And it generally helps. And also getting the heck out of the house and going on a walk, taking the dog out, all that stuff frickin' helps, man. It's so, gosh, that stuff helps me so much. I don't know if now we're getting into like Midwest hacks.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like, I didn't even know about sad lamps really until Chad told me about it last winter. And I was like, "Are you all right, buddy?" He's like, "Yeah, it's just that time of year." I was like, "Oh, okay."
It definitely is, and it also, just a few things that I've learned over the years for this, and one is this lamp. It does help. I have it in my office. It's a dark day here. It's a cloudy day. Turn it on, feeling better. Number two is going for that walk. It is so much easier in Chicago to just like go out and grab a coffee and get a little exercise. 20 minutes moving your heart, feeling better. And I gotta say, even during our meetings. So we all met up in Chicago for the Greyscalegorilla meeting in mid-January. And I had that moment where I could have just as easily, I think it was maybe 4 or 5 o'clock, something like that. I drove in and I had that moment where I could just have easily done like one of 4 different things. I could have just laid in bed and stared at my phone and then went to bed and woke up the next day ready for the meetings. I could have went into an office and stressed out about my slides and worried about stuff and just kind of double checked everything. That could have been productive. I could have went to the bar, had a beer, looked over my slides and kind of did a little bit of both. Or I could go to work out. or just go do something physical with my body. And I feel like every time I make that decision where it's like, I don't have to do this for hours, but I'm going to go do just walk into the weight room and even like just go in and do 3 things. That is always, I feel like, a better decision. I always feel better, even if I end up getting a beer afterwards. I always feel so much better when I make that decision. And it's something for this year, I've been trying to do more of is, for me, it's the West attitude. It's why I love the mountains so much. I make this joke all the time. I may have made this on other podcasts, but when you go out West and you're hanging out, everyone goes, "What are we doing today?" And they're like, "Oh, well, we're going to go hike up this mountain and then we're going to come back down and then we might go to the bar and grab a drink and catch up." Like, cool day, man. And in the Midwest, you go, "What are you doing today?" They're like, "We're going to this bar." And it's that culture that I just love of like, all right, let's go like, enjoy our scenery first and then go have a beer. That's something that I'm kind of trying to do a little bit more of this year. Live in this little town. We got cool little trails to walk around. So that's something I'm trying to do. But gosh, it is the gray. We need to, can we cut out Eeyore for the thumbnail for this one?
Oh, bother.
Oh, bother.
Would you say it puts the gray in Greyscalegorilla?
Oh, see,
wow.
We need.
I'm on fire today.
Dude,
Watch
that's
out.
2. That's 2. One more and you're out.
No, one more. I think I'm going to have my whole set for what do you guys have? The improv lounge up there? And the haha room?
Hey, everybody.
The Laugh Factory.
I want to bring my show up north. Be sad with you guys.
Oh, my
4D.
God.
I can't even learn 3D. Oh my God. Well, listen, folks. I think here's what we need to do. I think we need to get through these gray days. I think we need to get maybe some morning jumping jacks. I don't know. We'll add it to the Greyscalegorilla schedule. We'll figure it out. And for those of you listening, like, let us know. We have comments here on YouTube. I'm always looking through those. We get really great comments from you guys, not only on YouTube but over on iTunes. And can you even do comments on Spotify? I don't know. I know our podcast is up there now.
No, but there's actually good chats going on in the GSG Connect Slack as well. So we do love hearing from you guys.
Yeah, that's true. Head on over to the Slack, say hi. Let us know your tricks and tips for getting through the gray days. What'd you call it, Chad? You had a better name. I like gray days.
I don't know. Dog days?
It's the Midwest Dog Days. That's all it is, folks.
Yep.
Well, look, we'll have much more to announce soon about Plus. So definitely go check that out. We're going to definitely check out the School of Motion podcast about the end of the year. Stay tuned for Joey's podcast coming up very soon, maybe next week. So subscribe to get that one built in. Send it right to you. And I think... I'm not sure if the latest tutorial was even out at the last podcast. So definitely go check out YouTube. We have a little peek into what is available on Plus over at the YouTube page, also on our tutorial page. Definitely go check that out. We got so much more coming in 2020. We're excited to tell you more about it. And until then, unless there's anything else, guys, we could wrap this one up and see you guys in another Greyscalegorilla podcast.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.